Rob, one of the ideas of the movie, wishes are children. I love that idea. It must have been a wish of yours, a dream of yours, to adapt Sondheim, to adapt this Sondheim. Did it also come with some sleepless nights?
You know, I've always wanted to bring a Sondheim musical to film. It's a sort of something you know, if you come from the theater like I do, it's this amazing composer, lyricist who, you know, and this piece that James wrote with Steve is iconic and beloved. I mean, I loved it the moment I saw it in 1987 at the Martin Beck Theater, and it was, you know, and I've loved it ever since.
Meryl, you've said that, we were just talking just now, that in preparation for it, you kind of had to learn the songs technically without the emotion attached to it, so you could learn it without breaking down, as I have several times while watching this movie, during the songs. Is that correct? You kind of had to learn it.
I figured that out later. You know, I thought, well, I'll just practice the songs. But you know, I'm not. I'm an actor who tries to sing. You know, and so feeling through the music was tricky because I would get moved and then my voice would stop and choke, and so I had to kind of shut down and, you know, musically bring my voice to where it could physically deliver the song, and then I could play. Then I could play with it. But I really worked hard. I practiced.
25 years since, over 25 years since this musical first debuted, did you see it adjust to the times? Has it come to 2014 kind of the same way you saw it in 1987, 88? Has it adapted itself in certain ways?
Well, I think it has, and it's also adapted itself because other people get to do it, and that's a great thing when you're a writer. You know, it's fun. I do have the luxury of being able to direct the first production of the things I do, but then I'm more than happy and often see people do a much better, I wouldn't say a better job, but a more enlightening job, you know, where you see things in your work that you didn't realize was there because somebody's coming to it fresh. So, but you know, I was a different person, you know, 28 years ago than I am now. So it is kind of like your kid, and you grow with it, and you know, I related to the baker when I wrote it, and now I relate to the baker's father. So.
There's something really modern about Cinderella, and you know, I think that speaks to how timeless the fairy tales are and how timeless this piece is, and just what Rob wanted to do with it, to make sure that it felt alive and contemporary. And I think that, yes, her dilemma is a very modern one, which is, this is a situation that from the outside looks like it should make me happy, and everybody says it should make me happy, and I know it should make me happy, but my gut is telling me that this is not right. And instead of listening to that, I'm going to, you know, just look at every possible angle and just deconstruct everything instead of trusting myself and trusting my instincts. And I'm, you know, gonna just throw the ball back in his court and just see what happens. And, you know, she's just a very neurotic princess, which is great. And I felt I totally had permission from Rob to do that, and permission from Steve Sondheim. That was his note to me in the workshop. Like, his one note was, you know, she talks to birds.
You know, with certainly Chicago and Nine, which were the other musicals, you know, this was you know, this was not the sort of, there was not the sort of theatricality, I think, attached to this one. We weren't working in that sort of format of the sort of proscenium and the performances taking place on a stage or within the character's imagination. So for us, I think the challenge was to, you know, the lyrics of the songs, or the dialogue of the movie. And so we had to sort of find that way, find that language where those emotional moments when our characters sing, you know, we're at a point where the song is as effective, more effective than saying those lines, you know. So, you know, that was really sort of something I think, you know, we wanted to achieve, and that was so different from the other musical experiences, you know, just finding that language. And then, of course, it was just trying to put this world together, you know, a world that has a backdrop of fairy tale characters, but needed to be so grounded in a world, you know, because I think we would have done an injustice if the world of these characters didn't feel grounded, that if it felt fantasy, it felt too fairy tale, I think you sort of give up a lot of the emotional complexity that these characters are sort of experiencing.
One of the things we talked about at length with everybody. I mean, I think collaboration is very important with the costume designer, with Dennis Gassner, our production designer. You know, the sense of reality, because you're asked to care about these characters. You know, these aren't just sort of, I don't know, two-dimensional fairy tale characters. You have to believe right from the beginning that they have these dilemmas and they want something and they have wishes and you have to care for them throughout, because you're asked to, by the end of this piece, to really be there and understand what they've been through, and not as sort of fairy tale characters, but as people. It becomes more real, the piece, you know.
Yeah, in a way, you've got to look past the fairy tale. You've got to look past Little Red or Jack and the Beanstalk and see the person, you know, see the human being, I suppose. You know.
Editing, you mainly deal with getting your story straight, getting the best performances for that story, and then really getting everybody out of the theater as quickly as you can. In the case of this, James and Stephen, I mean, the story is so solid and was such a great foundation with it, which really didn't have a lot of problems. It's tested. It works so well. The performances, I mean, obviously with Anna and Meryl and Emily and James and the whole cast, the performances was, I mean, it's an embarrassment of riches. So it really comes down to about the pace of all that. And obviously it's music, and kind of what Dion was saying, your songs are your scenes. But the trick is you're not making a music video, and you're not relying on spectacle. The whole production is so beautiful. All of that spectacle was going to come out anyway. It was going to be inherent. But James and Stephen also don't write simply. You know, if you think of you know, when you're back to and, when you've had an or, it makes the or mean more than it's mean before, or the fact that Anna's, you know, he spread pitch on the stairs, and you're like, that tar would be so easy, it's just an inelegant word. So the key was really pacing and making sure that in what Rob had designed, that we were staying close with our actors and really allowing you to listen to what they were saying, because those words come 1,000 miles an hour.
Meryl, I'm wondering, there must be inspirations for all of your performances that come from lots of different areas. I'm wondering if there's any inspirations for this one you can share with us. For myself, I almost see pre-transformation. The witch feels a little bit like Miss Havisham to me. There's almost a very sad aspect of that. She's been waiting. She's sad and when waiting. Is there anything like that you can share?
That's very funny, because in 1975 I played Miss Havisham at the Yale School of Drama in a play that Chris Durang and Albert Inarado wrote, and it wasn't really her, but I based it on her, and I did my own makeup, and I was, you know, I thought I was hideous in 1975, but I was really fucking great looking, and I made myself into that now. I mean, I did, and I look at that, and so yes, that's definitely the inspiration for that. Was how I was fooling around with all those things then. But how to play a witch? I don't know. It comes naturally.
But the one thing that we've all known about the witch tells the truth. Whether she says I'm not good, I'm not great, I'm telling you the truth, I'm straightforward, right? That must have given you sort of something to start off with at the very least.
That is the way I am. So that was easy to, you know, I feel that sort of thing about at home, you know, often I feel I'm right. And it's a curse, sort of like the curse of ugliness, you know. So yeah, a lot of women feel this way.
No one wants that curse reversed, though.
I feel like I've grown with this piece, or it's grown with inside of me, or I mean, I saw it for the first time, the Bernadette VHS tape, and I felt really grateful even at the time that, I mean, I think I was 10 years old or something, and I such a rich piece, and it was so challenging. Well, now I've done it. But, okay. But I knew that, you know, it meant something different to me at 16. It means something different to me now. It will mean something different to me in a decade. And I mean, it absolutely, it's a piece about parents and children. And and actually my parents are, you know, I think about the example that my parents set for me in that scene with Chris. Because my parents divorced when I was 15, but, you know, they all came to the premiere, and we all just had Thanksgiving together. And you know, to set an example of civility within that environment was, you know, something I'll never be able to repay them for. It, you know, it probably wasn't easy for them, but you know, I hope that scene is a reflection of what I got to experience growing up.